Well, back to 1951, spring, when we left Williams, Arizona. I think it was a one-day shot, and Tom and Peg dropped us off in the Kansas area, and I'm sure we managed to see my parents as well as Donna's parents, even though we didn't have much time. I've forgotten just how those orders read, but you know, they gave us ample time to make the trip from San Francisco down to San Antonio, Texas. But while we were home, I'm not absolutely sure of the timeline here, but I believe it was there at that time that we decided that, you know, with this new additional income, quite a bit of difference in pay between second lieutenant and corporal, we decided that maybe we could afford to buy a car. And you know, there's nothing like your first new car. So we went into Wichita. Don't remember, but I suppose we drove that 1940, 41, whatever it was, Dodge in there, and went to the Chevy place. Our family is kind of Chevy oriented, my folks, my grandparents. And yes, they had a few cars, a few new cars. And you might think that's strange because, you know, you have these car lots full of cars anymore. But even though it was 1951, the country was still recovering from the war effort. And I'm not sure, but I think there was only 3 or 4 Chevrolets. We wanted a sedan of the 2 kids. I think there was only 3 or 4 cars that we had to, you know, look at and make a choice. But boy, there was one Chevy Impala there that the windshield was partly tinted down the middle, you know, at the top, and it's two-tone with a cream color and some green, light green. Oh, it was a pretty thing. We signed on the dotted line, drove away in that, and then of course, when the day or two later time came to get on down to BROOK Army Medical Center in San Antonio, we drove down. Well, again, you're looking for housing. I suppose we found a newspaper, or I don't really remember how we found the place, but we ended up renting the second floor of a fairly large house, and not too far away from the post, so I could commute back and forth easily, or if Donna needed it and wanted the car, she could just take me out, drop me off, and then pick me back up later. The classes, I don't remember much about them. I do remember being a little uneasy about the fact that, hey, most of the people in this class were corpsmen. They know a lot more about the medical routines than I know. And I remember I studied the material they gave us because I wanted to do well. I don't remember if Tom and I got together and studied, but possibly we did. And maybe he did or didn't study. I don't know. Bet he did. Because when it was all said and done, and I can't remember, it was I think about like a month school. And I've forgotten how many were in that class, but it was a sizable number. You know, I'm just off the top of my head, I want to say 40, 50 people. I don't really remember. But when the final grades were in, they ranked you, and we were in the top 20, I think, in the area of the 14, 15, 16 along in there. Once again, I think Tom scored just a little higher than I did. Well, then, the orders that we had received back there as they commissioned us was to go to this school. And then our orders were to report to Camp Campbell, Kentucky, airborne place. So, you know, in our separate vehicles, we ended up there. And Donna didn't go with me. I don't know. I don't remember how I got there. I don't know if I rode with Tom, or maybe there was a fine young man. I could see his face. Can't say his name, from Ponca City, that we'd met in the school. But we're among a group now of, I don't know, 15 to 20, I think. The officer's talking to us, said, "Gentlemen, we need jumping officers in the airborne. If you will jump, you'll be stateside for a year before we send you over to Korea. You don't jump, and we're going to ship your tails over to," that wasn't quite the word they used, "over to Korea as fast as we can write the orders." Tom and I looked at each other, and I said, I'm putting my hand up. I'm going to jump. I was a paratrooper before, and I'd like to jump again now. But it's such tight water wood. Tight water pour. So anyway, Tom said, "Oh, I was in the Army Air Corps before, and I'm telling you, I'm not jumping out of any airplane." So I assume, of course, that he's going to be shipped right over to Korea, and I'm not. Well, they assigned me to a local company, and that was interesting. I went there to report in. Parked my car out in the parking spaces that they had outside the company headquarters. I'm walking up the walk, and I hear a sergeant in there. Oh, God, he was reaming some poor soul up, chewing his tail from the top to the bottom, and from the bottom to the top. And being more of an enlisted man than an officer, in my thinking, I turned around, went back to the car, and drove over to the PX and spent a little time. Because if I'd have walked in there, I'm telling you, I don't like sergeants or officers mistreating the enlisted man just because they've got the power to do it. And by the time I got back over there and went in, everything was normal, and I was getting my assignment, and was there just a day or two, and it was announced that you're going to make your first jump now since 1947. Good. And my new company commander and the battalion surgeon were going to jump with me. How nice. I like that. There's more to that story.